All right, let's dive into a story of incredible growth, some really hidden risks, and the massive technological gold rush that is defining our decade, the race to build the chips that power AI. $975 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's nearly $1 trillion. And no, that's not a country's entire economy. That's the projected value for just one industry, semiconductors, in 2026. I mean, that is an historic peak. So what on earth is fueling this kind of explosion?
Well, it all comes down to one single, incredibly powerful force: artificial intelligence. The global demand for AI has created this insatiable appetite for computer chips, really on a scale we have just never seen before.
And this insatiable demand? It has kicked off a full-blown chip boom. And you know, the stock market is telling a truly staggering story.
What's really wild here is the sheer speed of this growth. The combined value of just the top 10 chip companies is on track to skyrocket by 181% in only 2 years. That is an almost unbelievable explosion in value. But as you might guess, underneath this incredible boom, there's a catch.
And that catch, well, it reveals a pretty high-stakes paradox that's sitting right at the heart of the entire industry.
As Deloitte puts it, this boom definitely has its risks. The industry has basically put all of its eggs in the AI basket. So let's break down what that paradox actually looks like. So on the surface, everything seems to make sense. By 2026, those super high-value AI chips are expected to bring in about half of the industry's entire revenue. AI is the engine of growth, so that checks out. But now let's look at this from a completely different angle.
And boom, here it is. While AI chips make up half the money, they represent less than 0.2% of the total number of chips sold. That's right, less than 0.2%. An absolutely tiny fraction of chips are generating half of all the revenue. So what happens to the other 99.8%?
Well, the result is a classic zero-sum game. See, there's limited manufacturing capacity, so every factory that gets dedicated to making high-margin AI chips is a factory that can't produce everything else. This creates a massive squeeze, causing shortages and huge price spikes for essential components, like the memory in our smartphones and PCs. And look at this. Prices for some popular memory are projected to nearly triple in just 5 months.
But the consequences here go way beyond just industry economics. This intense focus on AI hardware is creating risks in a much, much larger competition, the global innovation race.
A recent Stanford review put the problem pretty bluntly. For a long time, the American innovation ecosystem has relied on universities to do the basic, fundamental research that new products eventually get built on. You can think of that foundational research as the seed corn for the industries of tomorrow. Things like the internet, GPS, even AI itself, they all grew from decades of this kind of work. And right now, that engine of innovation is at risk. This chart visualizes the challenge starkly. For decades, the US has been the undisputed world leader in basic research. But now, China is copying that exact playbook, just pouring money into foundational science. And if these trends keep up, China's on track to overtake the US in this critical area by the end of the decade.
And the numbers behind this trend are they're stark. China's investment in foundational science is rising 6 times faster than America's. So while the U.S. is focused on the immediate AI gold rush, its long-term innovation pipeline is seriously under threat.
So, with this high-stakes paradox looming over everything, how does the industry even begin to navigate the future? It's an incredibly complex technical and strategic puzzle.
On the technical side, the race is no longer about building one single perfect chip. Now it's all about building a perfect system. This means using smaller, specialized chiplets that work together like a team, bringing memory physically closer to the processors so data doesn't have to travel as far, and creating super-wide data pipes that use light itself to move information faster. It's all about making the entire package work together seamlessly.
And strategically, the industry is facing a minefield. As we look toward 2026, these are the key signposts to watch. Are today's leaders going to be able to maintain their dominance? Is this massive investment boom going to lead to a bust from overcapacity? Can our power grids even handle the energy demands of all these new data centers? And how will geopolitics reshape who builds these critical components and where?
So it really all comes down to this. The AI boom is undeniably building our future, and that future runs on semiconductors. But, as we've seen, this incredible growth story is also a paradox, one that's filled with hidden risks. And it leaves us with one critical question. Is the foundation this whole boom is built on strong enough to last?